Facepalm America. Merry Christmas to you. Well, it's not really Christmas. Christmas has already passed by a few days. Are you getting sick of it yet? Getting sick of the decorations and the overeating and the Christmas wrapping and the incessant Christmas music? Well, there could be worse things, I suppose. It really could be. It's cold outside, at least where I am, fortunately. Probably not as cold as it should be. I'm Beowulf Rockland, facepalmamerica.com. We did not have a white Christmas this year. Not that I need a white Christmas, not that I need it to be snow on the ground. It did happen last year. But this Christmas, it was like kind of in the 40s. And it's still cold, but not as cold as it was last year. It's something that tends to be happening more often. You notice? Are there fewer people where you are who are saying, God, I wish we could have some of that global warming? Because in parts of the country, it actually has been pretty warm. In the Midwest, so I hear, people have been jogging in T-shirts. And so it's been cold where I am in the Pacific Northwest. And we're getting precipitation, and that's a very good thing. Because we need it. We've been in a lot of drought, and I want that to go away. I hope you are warm and cozy. It's a weird time of year. We're trapped in between Christmas and New Year's, and so people aren't getting back, largely speaking, on their correspondence, their emails. Business is kind of like, at least office business is really not happening so much. It's unofficial. I know a lot of people working. I'm working. But for a lot of people, it's this weird kind of in-between period. Slate.com calls it Feral Week. I don't know about that. I wish I were able to take a completely feral week. It's not really the case for me. I got some things to do. It's slower, yes. Here's what Slate has to say. We've reached the point in the 2023 calendar where most holiday plans have been completed. Well, most Christmas plans. Hanukkah has been over for a week or two. My flight, the author of this Slate.com article, Luke Winke, my flight home from to California was booked months ago, and the family unit enjoyed bountiful dinner reservations for Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve Eve. The pageantry was delightful, soul-filling, and almost entirely wholesome, as it is every Christmas. However, if I'm being honest, says Luke, what I always most look forward to each season isn't the charmed main event rituals of December 24th and 25th. No, I've had my eyes on the week after Christmas, December 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th, where time has no meaning. Nothing is forbidden. Every sin, sloth, and gluttony, lust is a virtue. And he may be putting it a little differently than I would, but there is a powerful argument to be made for a time where we're just, except, in extremis, doing nothing. Now, society is not coming to a halt. Emergency rooms, thank God, are open. Products are being shipped. But what I'm thinking about here is a time every year where most people are just off. And I don't think people have that as much anymore. Some people always work. And really, this is to the concept of there should be times where everyone, regardless of what time of year it happens to be, is just not doing stuff. What used to be called a vacation. Not even that you feel you have to go somewhere, but where you don't have to be working. And I think fewer and fewer of us have that available to ourselves. And I think that's unfortunate. So to the degree that you are able to experience that, I encourage you to. It's a lighter week for me, as I said. I'm not really doing that. I want to get to the place where I can. If you are, I seriously and unbegrudgingly hope that you can enjoy it. Because in order to function properly, in order to be sane, we need downtime. We need time off where we're not doing anything. Or doing something that is not nominally productive. And that is okay. It is okay to do that. It's okay to goof off and watch TV and eat a bunch of stuff if you got the time to do it. Please, indulge. Not everybody is able to do that. Not everybody is. And in a moment, I'm going to come back and talk about that just a little bit, because numbers on homelessness are not looking so good. I'm Beowulf Rockland. This is Facepalm America. We'll be right back. Facepalm America. I'm Beowulf Rockland, facepalmamerica.com. As I mentioned before the break, homelessness is up in America. Homelessness in the United States soared by a record 12% between January 22nd and January 2023 as emergency coronavirus pandemic assistance decreased, according to an estimate by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And that's why. If you charge rent that people can't afford, or start charging it when you weren't able to charge it before because people weren't going to be able to afford it, then inevitably you're going to have people, some of them, out on the street. And we could have worked this out, but we chose not to as a nation. And that's sad, and it's disgusting, because it's not inevitable that there have to be homeless people in this country or any country. We don't. It's not something that we have to just tolerate. We don't have to be okay with this. We mustn't be okay with this. And it's not something that we have to let continue to exist. The annual assessment, that is from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, provides a snapshot of the number of people living in shelters, in temporary housing, and on the streets. It found that more than 650,000 people were experiencing homelessness on a single night in January 2023, a 12% increase from 2022, and the highest number of people recorded as experiencing homelessness on a single night since reporting began in 2007. So, higher than it's been for 15 years in America. The rise returns the United States to a pre-pandemic trend of growth, that is, growth in homelessness, the bad kind of growth, between 2016 and 2020, HUD said in a statement about the data. After rising each of those years, reaching about 580,000 people in 2020, homelessness dropped in 2021 and 2022, when the government put emergency pandemic measures in place, like eviction moratoriums, and giving people money. People don't have homes, or homes that they can afford, places to live that they can pay for. That's why they are homeless. And yes, there are people with mental disorders, and we need to provide resources for them to either get better or to be in a place where they can keep those under control, or provide places where they can still live and function, because we live in what is presumably a decent, humane, human society, because we don't want people to die. But here's the thing. While we don't do a great job of making sure that people have homes, we do an awfully good job of shifting things around, obfuscating things, and pretending like it's not a problem, or sweeping the problem under the rug. We do a much better job of sending the police to move the homeless from one place to another, as they do in cities near where I live, as they do in San Francisco, when they had the big conference that President Biden and China's President Xi attended. And I think the city of San Francisco was rightfully criticized for that. It doesn't solve the problem. It just gets it out of the way for a little bit. That's what we're good at, deluding ourselves, as opposed to providing places to live in a way that people can live in them. That's what we don't do a great job of. And even when people do have homes, they often they work themselves ridiculous amounts just to barely hang on to them. Maybe you're one of those people. I've been one of those people. And yet the solution is pretty clear. You give homeless people homes, places to live, or you give them the resources that they need to get those homes. You give them money. That's right. It's not that hard. And I read an article that a Facebook friend of mine posted from the Los Angeles Times. And I think the people in this story have the right idea. It's pretty simple. It's not really that complicated. Give homeless people money. Now, I know there are going to be people out there that are going to say, oh, well, they're just going to spend it on booze or drugs or whatever. Turns out they tried it, and they didn't do that so much. I mean, sure, they did it a little bit. I mean, we're human goddamn beings, okay? We have flaws, we have vices, and yeah, we do that a little bit. You know, we indulge in the week between Christmas and New Year's. It's kind of a natural thing to do, if you think about it. Especially so if you don't have a home. How do you get by? I mean, it's not surprising that people turn to drugs. But some people tried this. Some people tried just giving money to homeless people. And here's how it turned out. This is from the Los Angeles Times. If 100 homeless people were given $750 a month for a year, and this is an important part, no questions asked. Just give them the money. No questions asked. No paperwork. We're just going to give it to you. No restrictions. We are just going to give you money. We're going to find out what you spend it on, but we're not going to not give it to you regardless of what you spend it on. The question, what would they spend it on? That question was at the core of a controlled study conducted by a San Francisco-based nonprofit and the USC, University of Southern California, go Trojans, Suzanne Dvorak Peck School of Social Work. The results were so promising that researchers decided to publish results after only 6 months. They were going to do it for a year. And, you know, I'm hoping that they're still getting the money. But they published these results after only 6 months because they were very positive. Here's what they spent the money on. Food, 36.6%. Housing, 19.5%. Transportation, 12.7%. Clothing, 11.5%. And healthcare, 6.2%, leaving only 13.6% uncategorized. That's right. They spend it on the basic necessities because, as homeless people, they are deprived of the basic necessities, like a home, like shelter, like food, like warm clothing. So if they're given the ability to get those things, they're going to get them with that money because they don't have the money. Okay? If there are any policymakers in the audience, I want you to hear this because I understand. It's very easy to get caught up in, well, how are we going to do the policy and the means testing and like do these studies about like long-term this and like what and you know, behavioral blah, blah, you know, give them resources, give them money. And usually when you have no money and you have no resources, that'll solve the problem in most cases. Not universally, but pretty darn often. Pretty darn often. There's a great quote here. It may not be earth-shattering that providing money is going to help meet basic needs, said Benjamin Henwood, director of the Center for Homelessness, Housing, and Health Equity Research at the Dvorak Peck